All right, I'd like to call this meeting of the Coventry Town Council to order at 6:01 PM. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Here.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Here.
Councilmember Shockley.
Here.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Here.
President Lima.
Here, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the event of an emergency, those present in council chambers this evening can exit out either doors labeled 1 or 2 to the front lawn or back parking lot of Town Hall. At this time, I'll seek a motion to approve the executive session minutes of August 27th, 2024. The July 23rd ones we already approved at a previous meeting. That's on there as an error. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilor Shockley, second by Councilor Pasqua. Discussion?
I
Yes.
had some edits that I provided to the clerk.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you say you had something else? Right? Oh, okay. All right. If there's no further discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc
I'm just going to abstain. I was not present.
and President Lima.
Yes.
4 in the affirmative, 1 extension. Thank you.
You got it. Moving on to public comment on docketed items only, those items on our agenda this evening. If there's a member of the public in chambers who'd like to speak on a docketed item, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Any members of the public on Zoom, please raise your hand for a public comment on docketed items only. Going once. We have one. Good evening. Please unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please.
Robert Heavey, 607 Weaver Hill Road, Coventry.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hello, I'd just like to comment on the chip seal program that's been going in the town. I've reached out to my councilman and he asked us, myself and other members of the district to speak up at this venue so that all the members of the council could hear our concerns. The other neighbors and I have seen when we live on Weaver Hill Road, which is one of the chip seal roads. First of all, there was inadequate preparation of the roads before the chip seal was putting down. None of the cracks were sealed. There are open potholes that are now filled with loose rock. There's very uneven surfaces. And then the whole process of the chip sealing was absolutely atrocious. For those of you that didn't live through it, we had the street sweeper go up and down the street twice preparing the road. It had no water sprayed down, so we had tremendous dust clouds when the sweeper went through. Following that, we had an industrial blower attached to the back of a tractor from the supplier that just blew the remaining debris everywhere, which may not be of concern if you were in a wooded area, but a lot of us have improved properties and lawns right up to the street, and all this debris was just sent everywhere. And then the chip seal that just was over applied in terms of the amount of chips, and then very little was done to do it. I reached out to Public Works at one point, asking them, when the final coat was going to be put on, because there was still areas of loose rock after street sweeping that was as much as an inch thick. And the top coat that they're going to put on was supposed to be a thin little coat. And I doubt those areas that were an inch thick would actually be bonded. And the plows were probably going to just peel that up. I sent the DPW rep a picture showing some of the traces with my foot through some of the thick stone and never got a response. And then we had a notice that things were gonna be done and nothing else has been done. And right now the road is still uneven. And again, there's some areas with dips and compressions that the street sweeper can't even get all the stones off of. And I don't think we're the worst road by any case. What I saw of Phillips Hill Road, it was worse. And I haven't personally seen it, but I hear Carl's Trail is absolutely atrocious, where they're trying to chip seal over all kinds of patching compounds and still potholes. So hopefully the council pays attention to this and realizes that none of this is going to hold up for the 8 to 10 years you were told it was going to hold up for. And that's my comment.
Thank you very much. I see one other hand up on Zoom. You just unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please.
Amanda Talbot, 671 Cars Trail.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
So I kind of have to follow up with Mr. Heavy about the road. The town came down and they were like cutting up parts of the road, and they sealed some of the potholes, but they didn't seal all of them. They had only sealed like ones that were circled at some point, and they left the rest. So when the chip sealer first came down and they started throwing rocks, they were just throwing them over the top of all the other potholes and uneven areas on the road. And I reached out to John at one point, and I was just trying to let him know what was going on. And at that time he was on vacation. So, he was on vacation trying to do the best he could, trying to go back and forth, trying to figure out, what is going on? Why is there a mess? And actually the day that they put the oil down, that's a disaster. I mean, they only did half of the road. They didn't finish the other half, but they put so much oil down, it was like filling the potholes, and people have oil all over their cars. My car, the wheel wells are full of oil. My tires are full of oil. And I've seen some of my neighbors, they have oil all over their cars. And one of my neighbors told me that on Saturday, because they did it on Friday, one of the people from the company was driving up and down the road, like hitting the potholes to disperse the oil because it was so thick it wasn't going to dry. And like I said, the rest of the road's not done yet. So that's our concern, because they did such a poor job doing the other half of the road. And John reached out to me that night that the oil was down, and he was shocked, I think, by what he saw, because it was a mess. And, being told that the job was done well and it was fine. I feel like, the council was misled, because it's definitely not what I'm sure was delivered to you guys when you were talking about contracts and getting the work done. So I don't know going forward, what's going to happen with the rest of the road, if they're supposed to come back, because no work has been done today. And right now the road is covered in leaves and pine needles. So if they do go over it, it's not going to stick. So, we're just kind of concerned that the road is in pretty rough condition, and it's, the job that you paid for to hope to last for a long time isn't going to last. So just, trying to let it be known what's going on, and what the conditions of the road look like, because you guys, I'm sure, paid a lot of money to have it done, and it just wasn't done very well.
Thank you. Appreciate you participating. The town manager I saw was taking notes here. I'm sure we can get some update on next steps, because I know Councilman Pasqua has made administration aware of this. And I think we can speak to it also in our reports section. I don't know if you have anything to add.
So the chip seal program has been suspended for the year due to the temperatures and due to some inconsistencies that the contractor told us was going to happen and didn't happen. They did over oil part of Cars Trail. There has been some damage to some vehicles. We have reached out to those people and had them have their vehicles cleaned, and the town will take care of that expense. So there will be no more chip seal finished product the remainder of the year. We're going to start up again late spring, early summer, and have some additional oversight on the company to finish the job that they were contracted to do.
All right. We'll talk more if council members have questions later in the agenda. Last call, public comment on docketed items only. Going once, twice, 3 times. Public comment on docketed items is now closed. Moving to licenses, we have one this evening, ratification, new mobile food establishment license, Pam's Grill on the Go yearly license out of 2 Zor Street, North Providence, Rhode Island. Do I hear a motion to approve the license?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank,
Second.
second by Councilmember Shockley. Is the applicant here this evening on Zoom or in person? Nope. Solicitor Angel.
So in the future, the mobile food licenses are established at the state level. What goes on here is more of a registration. The council has absolutely no right to deny an applicant the right to operate a mobile food establishment in Coventry unless they do not have a valid state license which incorporates what gets done at the Department of Business Regulation and the Department of Health. So just in the future, it's not a motion to approve. You're not approving anything. You're just making sure that they're registered with the state. You take notice of it and they fill out a registration in Coventry. It's not that we grant them a license. The state already occupies the field of licensure, so we may not.
Okay. Councilor Pasqua.
So just kind of a follow-up question on that. Would that make this just an administrative process going forward? Really, does it need to be on a docket?
You know, there are municipalities of that mind, but I know that councils generally like to know what's going on. So for, that type of insight, they like to keep it on the agenda, at least to take notice of it and make sure that the registration fee is being paid.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc,
Yes.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to election or appointment of town officials, town council appointments, the Coventry Historic Preservation Commission. We received notice from Erin Brewster that she is not interested in renewal, so we just have one person for consideration of renewal this evening. Mr. Saint Amand. You're here this evening? Did you want to come forward and speak? Okay. Do any members of the council have any questions for Mr. Saint Amand? With that, then do I hear a motion to reappoint Paul Saint Amand to the Coventry Historic Preservation Commission?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank,
I'll second.
second by Councilman Capaldi. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
On the next item, we have advised those names on our list that we are continuing to the next meeting. This was mislabeled on our agenda as Municipal Fire District, and it should be Municipal Fire Commission, and out of an abundance of caution for OMA, we had kind of taking the advice here that we should make sure this is properly docketed, and it's not this evening. So the folks have been notified, so that'll be moved to the next meeting. We will now move to report of the town manager, Ms. Frillo.
So I'd like to introduce our new HR director, Doreen LaFond. If you want to come up, Doreen. Doreen started with us in August. She's a certified human resource management professional. She comes to Coventry after a career in the private sector in which she has held many, many roles. She's been a great fit so far. She's ready to jump in and help out anytime. And just like to introduce herself and let the council know a little bit about you.
Welcome.
Good evening.
If you just want to introduce yourself, yeah.
Oh, I'm Doreen LaFawn. I am the new HR director here at the town. Like Dan said, I come from the private sector. I'm focused on compliance and improvement here in the town offices. And I've been here for about 8 weeks, and I really appreciate being here. So thank you.
Great.
Any questions for me?
Councilman Pasqua?
So your background is primarily private sector. Do you have any time at all in government, whether it's in HR or any other?
No.
No.
Nope.
It's a
Just
different
private
animal.
sector. It is,
Yeah,
but it's going very well.
good.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Capaldi?
I just wanted to congratulate you and good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, next I want to introduce Scott Savigny. Scott's the new Parks and Recreation Director. He's been here all of one day. He came back for day 2, so that's great. Scott has a plethora of knowledge and experience in the field. He comes from the city of Cranston, where he was there for 21 years in the recreation department. Most recently, the number 2 man there. I worked with Scott when I was in Cranston, and when Raina gave me a list of people to replace her, Scott was on that list. So once I heard his name, I said, I know who I want. So Scott is here, and all yours, Scott.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I am very happy to be here. I was in Cranston for a total of 23, almost 24 years, in recreation for 21. Title over there was Recreation Program Coordinator, but that was not all that I did. I was involved heavily with day-to-day stuff from whatever the director was involved in, the general foreman was involved in. So I gained a lot of experience in just kind of keeping my hands in a lot of different things. So I'm thankful to Dan for giving me this opportunity. I'm looking forward to this challenge. And I know there's several projects that are already in the works that I am trying to get up to speed on day 2. So I know that they're priorities. So that's in addition to figuring out who everybody is. Those projects are on my mind right now, and trying to gather all the information related to them so that we can move forward to them as quickly as possible.
Great. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Any questions, discussion from the council? All right.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. Next on the list is impact fees. I know the council was presented an update on impact fee study that I did at the end of August. And there was some feedback that they wanted to see what other communities were doing regarding impact fees. So we reached out to the league and see if the league could assist us with what other communities are doing. So what I presented in front of you is the responses that we got back from some of the communities. Some don't have impact fees at all. We would be probably the highest off this list. Again, there's only 9 here. But that's kind of where we are with the impact fee study. Don't know if we want to move forward, and we're ready to move forward to put it into ordinance form. I will work with a solicitor on that. But I can answer any questions as to what the direction the council wants to go in.
What's the pleasure of the council in terms of next steps? Vice President LeBlanc?
I'm certainly interested in going through the process again. I think the last time that we did impact fee adjustment was, I think, was my first day on council. So it's been quite,
2020.
yeah, it's been quite some time. I do know a lot of requirements are a part of that process. We need a list from the school. We need a list from the municipality or from the town side of all CIP for the next 5 years, I think.
Yeah, so that's
So
all done.
I think
That whole study's done.
It's all done.
Yes.
And has that, I don't think that's been shared with the council though.
I believe it was in August, but if not, I will send it to you.
Okay.
So the numbers are out 7998 is the new number.
79.98.
was a little bit more than what it
From like
was.
6,000, I think. we're
Yes,
at.
yeah, so it was in 2010, it was 75.96. 2020, they reduced it to 58.54, and the new proposal is right around 8,000. The only
Got it.
thing I can see why they reduced it in 2020 was they did not include any sewer expansion into the document, which that alone is over $30 million over the next 5 years. So I
Right.
think that's the big discrepancy as to why it was reduced number-wise from what I could find in the report. But running off numbers that we have currently through the CIP for us and the school, the number's right around $8,000 going forward.
Just sharing my 2 cents, but I'm interested.
Councilmember Shockley?
Are we the same regardless of home type? I notice a lot of towns differentiate based on one bed, one
To my knowledge, we're all the same.
Okay. And with the amount of growth, I mean, personally, I feel this town is kind of ripe for growth for a number of different reasons, and that tax-wise, we can't use our tax base to grow organically, and this is a way of being able to assist the town with keeping up with this growth. So I do like the idea of having impact fees based on a study, based on 5 years worth of CIP, where we're determining what the cost to keep our town where we need it to be, from the schools to the roads to the sewers, based on the new buildings being built here. So I do like the idea of keeping this impact fee and having it be more in line with what we need.
So sounds like overall sentiment is move forward with drafting of ordinance for first reading. All right, thank you.
Next is the update on the 2024 election postcard. So thanks to Councilwoman Capoli for putting that together. We made a couple minor changes to it. Sorry. Thanks to Councilwoman Capaldi for putting that together. We tweaked it a little bit for the printer. So we are sending out end of this week, beginning of next week, approximately 14,292 cards. Postcard 8.5 by 11, glossy, double-sided with color. Instead of doing it here to the town, we're using a printing company, and the mailing is a lot cheaper. So it was going to be around $14,000 for us to mail them. It's $7,000 to the printing company. So I know the council wanted to move forward, and they were willing to spend up to that 14. So what I also did is I reached out to the reminder, and we're going to put the postcard in the reminder over the next 4 weeks to get more outreach there altogether. So total of $8,300 will be coming out of contingency for that 2024 election outreach.
Any questions on that? All right, thank you. This next item I asked the town manager to prepare because, as some of you know, we have to have all ARPA funds earmarked by the end of this year. So I just want to get a sense of where we were at in terms of what's been earmarked, what's been spent, what's left. And then the council can discuss kind of next steps from there and making sure we comply. So
in your package was the 6/30/2024 opera list. Director Savetti updated it today, currently, that I passed out for 9/30/2024. There's some money there that is going to be reallocated. For instance, the K9 vehicle and the hazard mitigation plan, which is about $120,000. The PD got grants for those two things. So that's going to go back into the pot. Director McGee had a balance in one account, and there was something in here for snow removal straps, which he does not need. So there's $16,000 there. So next week, I want to be putting a resolution in front of the council to put that $32,000 towards the balance of the dump truck that's in CIP. That's what we need more to cover that. The big numbers here are the $700,000 for Lake Tioga. So the divers were there today. We hope to have an evaluation of what that number is going to be to rebuild that structure. So that's there right now. So I told them that it's impactful that we get that number to us ASAP so we don't lose any of that money. There's 455 in there for redevelopment. That's listed at Angel. and redevelopment are going to have at their disposal. And any balance, I think the council has to make a decision. We don't want to lose a dime of this. So obviously, I think once we get to the end, whether we put it towards a big project like Johnson's Pond or we put it towards paving, I think there needs to be a big scope of money available so we don't lose any of it. And if we, there's supposed to be a meeting through the league as to how to utilize ARPA and how to appropriate ARPA and what happens if something happens after December 31st. For instance, what if a project that was supposed to cost 500 costs 300,000? Can we appropriate that 200,000 or is it lost? So there's supposed to be a meeting led by the state to give us some direction on when things like that happen, can that money still be moved around in some capacity? So at the bottom, you can see there's 786,000 unbudgeted. If you want to add that 120 from PD, they're talking about $900,000 currently available. Again, there is still other moving parts in here that could change. But as we get closer and closer to the end of December, we need to tighten up this window of balances and so forth. Like the school had a $20,000 balance on the buses. We bought them 2 buses. There's a $20,000 balance. So all those balances have to be put together and either reassign or reallocate, or just, like I said, put it in a big pot for either Johnson's Pond or paving or something that we know we're going to need over the next 2 years.
Councilman Capaldi.
When is that meeting that you're speaking of?
I've been asking for the last 2 months and they're still waiting to put it together.
Councilman Shockley.
So I noticed that we still have the septic pumping on here and that we've spent the full balance of what we put aside for that and that we haven't bonded to finish that project. So as much as I would love the money to go elsewhere, what do we expect the continued expenses for that to be?
So that's ongoing. Obviously, it's not as much as it used to be. So it was $1,700 per day. Now that we have our own truck, it's about $300 per day. So it's not as expensive. We tried to loop that money into the $540,000 that we have at RIB. That's paying for the construction, the design of the sewer system for the high school. There's extra money there. So we tried to do that. DEM told us, no, we could not. Again, DEM said no, which is, it is what it is. So we're also going to try right now, that bill is still outstanding. Director and I had been talking whether we should give it to the school side, see if they can get reimbursed for their maintenance for that money, or is it something that we have to look at either through contingency or ARPA funds? So I don't know what that number is right now. The high school is about 1.5 years away. So there is going to be an additional expense.
So the project is about 1.5 years away.
Yes. Completion. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as much as we can pay for things that are going to have to be out of pocket expenses anyway, you know, it'd be nice to be able to spend more on roads or even spend more on the actual sewer project. But until we get there, I mean, and I don't know how much of that money will be, is it by this December we have to be done spending this?
It has to be allocated by December 24th, spent by December 26th.
Yeah, I think getting a better handle on what that bill actually is. Because all we see here is that we've spent to our full capacity, but it doesn't show any negative numbers.
Yeah, there hasn't been a bill since we paid that bill at $450. We haven't paid any other bills as of
So this
yet.
bill is paid in full based on this money.
The $450 is, but the bill's ongoing.
So when did we make this payment?
This was at the budget time. So we paid the $450 June 30th.
Okay.
And we've been pumping ever since, obviously. So that bill is just running every day.
So it sounds like a percentage of this possibly just has to go towards taking care of that. We have an outstanding bill
It could.
that we know no department has accounted for.
We were hoping that, again, that the school could possibly write it off as a maintenance expense and get some kind of reimbursement on it. But that's something that we're still working with the school finance team on.
Okay, it just seems time is of the essence.
So I personally would like to see this probably monthly until the end of the year, watching that unspent column. And I also think it would be beneficial to see some timelines of when those things are going to be spent. It seems like a good chunk. It seems like a there's a lot unspent, and I just would like to have some clarity as to when those are gonna be done, like, obviously we have transition in Parks and Rec, but, when would the paint parking lot be done? At this point, are we waiting until the spring? Or looking here. Obviously Lake Tyoke is imminent. Yeah. But yeah, just it would be good to get some clarity or some notes that come with this so we know when the unspent is going to be spent. And then obviously, I think the council puts trust in the administration to bring forth some resolutions or even a proposed list, like you mentioned, of items that could encumber the remaining balance.
Will do.
Thank you. All right. CIP.
CIP.
This is another one I had asked because we're through the first quarter of FY25, and I just wanted to see where we were on what we budgeted for those projects.
So for CIP, we had the admin police vehicle that's ordered. DPW had an excavator, which they have already purchased. And that dump truck that I spoke of, there's only $54,000 there. We need that extra 36 from ARPA in order to purchase that. Engineering, which we'll get to later, is the Old North Road. There's $36,000 for Old North Road. That's part of that contract to get that project done. Recreation, there was $89,000 for the Giblin Playground. Like Scott said, it's on his radar. Nothing's been done with that as of yet. And also for recreation, there's $50,000 to upgrade the electrical system and some water in the garage. And we're currently having that assessed. So that's the CIP funds for the town. School CIP fund, I spoke to the superintendent yesterday, and he has an ask of the council. So there were 3 projects that we identified specifically: the chiller and heat pump, $22,000, school intercom, $33,000, and then $75,000 for windows. He would like to reappropriate or reallocate that money, which is $133,000, into emergency pavement repairs at the middle school. He's saying the parking lot at the middle school is atrocious. And he's concerned about slip and falls and so forth and the liability of that. So I don't know if it has to come back to the council in a resolution form in order to change that, or we can do it verbally at the solicitor can resolution. So I'll have that to you guys on the 22nd to appropriate that $133,000 to paving for the middle school. And then regarding the 483 additional that you gave him, he said it will be used for overall school maintenance to offset budgeted maintenance costs, which may include some salaries, as was the understanding that he got from the council during the budget process. So it sounds like none of that's been spent as of yet.
Any discussion from council members? And municipal road bridge program?
So Kevin, you want to come and speak to that, the municipal road program? So we have a contract from the state. The director, the solicitor, and I are going to sign. This is for the new 2025 road program, the reimbursement. I think the director already spent the money, so we need to sign this quickly. But it's to give us the money back, the 1/3 of the 2/3 that we spent.
On our budget, it was budgeted for July 1, 24 through 25. Council gave us $1 million for continued road program. This is our program, reimbursement from the state. With this money, the $184,000 with the $789,000 from the prior year, we've got close to $1 million, $973,000 from the state for roads. So all we're asking here is to be able to sign this so that we've already paved the roads as part of July to August. So this is done. All I'm waiting for is this to get submitted. Then I can submit for the reimbursement.
With that, do I hear a motion to ratify the municipal road and bridge program agreement?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBlanc.
Second.
Second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion on the agreement? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua?
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi?
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley?
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
did you want to just stay up there and do your report while you're there? Okay. Any objection from the council? Okay. Can I get a motion to take the agenda out of order?
Yes.
Second.
Motion by Vice President LeBlanc, second by Councilman Pasqua. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua. Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
I had asked town manager to work with Kevin to give us an update, considering we've made a substantial investment with ARPA funds and our budget to make a more diligent effort to consistently invest in our road infrastructure. We started this, I think, over a year ago now, in terms of making that commitment. So I just wanted to get a sense of where that stood. With that, I will turn it over to Director McGee.
Good evening once again. We've made probably one of the better dents in roads than most communities have this year. We've, through the ARPA funding that was approved by the council, was $3.7 million. As of 6:30, we had expended $3,051,306 for a balance of $709,000, which I think in that report, the ARPA report, you'll see a balance 700. That's already been spent. So don't. 6:30 from 7/1 to 8:30, we've got money spent.
Spent it.
Yeah, don't worry about me spending money. The MRBF is the Municipal Roads and Bridge Fund. That's the amount of money we're getting from them after what you just approved. We've expended from July through August 30th, $1.291 million with a balance of $391,176. We have $500,000 in our operating budget for roads. The expenditures for chip sealing was $468,000. That leaves us a balance in the operating budget of $422,380. If you see any following pages, we're able to pave with these monies from 22, 23, and 24, 65 roads in town, and we're able to do chip sealing for 12 roads, for a total of 77 roads have been addressed. If I can just touch base with the bane of my existing right now is the chip sealing. The chip sealing, I think, is misconstrued by a lot of people that didn't realize what we were doing. The chip sealing does not asphalt. It's not meant to be. It is for, you will still have the undulations in the roadway. It's not like asphalt where you're putting a layer down where it's going to level everything off. The contractor erred on Cars Trail. Their machine put double the amount of oil down on Cars Trail, so it didn't have a chance. That normal 20 minutes to a half hour drying time, it was, by the time I was involved in it on Saturday, it was 20 hours and it still hadn't been done. And that's why I called the contractor back in to get it fixed, which it did get fixed. That's why the rest of Cars Trail did not get completed. The option we're looking at was to suspend it this year, but there's still the option to go forward and get all the roads sealed with the chip seal. The chip seal, it lasts from 5 to 7 years, not 8 to 10 years. Somebody said the first year plowing, that stone will not affect it. It's as it wears more, the chip stone will start coming off if you don't fog seal it at the end to seal it in. So that's still an option we have. We've done 25% of the roads have been fog sealed, and the roads that we've done it on have been nothing but people saying, "Can I do that on my driveway?" We've done Casey Lane, Chaplain, and Pig Hill Road, and they look like brand new roads. That's what would happen with the other roads once they're completed. There are we sent crews out for 2 weeks fixing potholes on all the roads that were spotted. There may be indentations, but those are not potholes, those are not blemishes on roads. So there was no potholes left in any of those roads that we did chip sealing on. Again, so contrary to what you're hearing, we spent, like I said, 2 weeks with our crews out there on every road. I personally marked potholes and had them cut and patched before we did the chip sealing. The cracks that are there, the bitumen oil that's put down first before the chipstone seeps into those cracks, those spider cracks, to seal it. And the 1/4-inch stone goes on. It's then worked in. After a week, we take the sweeper, take out the bulk of the stone, still leaving some, go another week and clean the chipstone out. Yes, we have blows right now because this time of year, we've got leaves and acorns falling, and you can't put that fog seal on that. So that's why that's blown out of the way so that the fog seal can be applied. Not ideal this time of year. We got temperatures are in the mid-40s at night. It's talk to the manufacturer. It's still something that can be done. If the council wants to get all the roads completed this year, we can still do that. So we can have that discussion after.
Discussion from the council. Councilor Pasqua.
Thank you for reporting on this tonight. I've got a ton of emails and phone calls, and
Sure.
I'm sure I know you've got the emails as well from the town manager that I sent.
Yeah.
We know Cars Trail was obviously, it was a mistake. I mean, when I got out there, if I stepped my foot in a pothole or whatever was out there, I mean, oil would splash and tar would splash everywhere.
I touched it with my fingers. I put my hand in that puddles, and that's what,
Yeah.
I've got the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, town's gonna make good on fixing people's vehicles.
And the contractor's going to be back charged for all those expenses too.
Yeah, as they should.
Yeah.
100%. Totally agree with you. As they should. But as far as the potholes on the road, I went out to the Cars Trail, and I mean, there are definitely decent dents and potholes on that road. I mean, there was like leaves and stuff in them at this point.
Yeah.
So
Depressions there will be depressions. However, potholes are defined that goes all the way down to the gravel, and none of them had gravel at the bottom. They're all just depressions.
well, these depressions were like a foot in diameter and like 2 to 3 inches deep. And I mean, when you're driving over them, I mean, you feel them in your vehicle, you hit them. I mean, if the town's doing these projects on these roads or spend this kind of money, it should be a smooth surface when it's done. I look at Harkney Hill Road and other roads that have chip seal down on them. You don't see any of that. This is a very drastic, different situation than what I've seen on other roads that have been chip sealed. And that's when we talked about this project originally. I imagined what we have on other roads that have been done, and it does look nice. We've never had complaints. I've never had anybody email me about any of these other roads that have been chip sealed. But it seems like, I don't know if it's a different contractor that we're using, if it's a process that we're using, but since this first pebble hit the asphalt, my phone hasn't stopped.
This is the first time I've used, since I've been here, we've used chip seal. It's used throughout the state in the rural communities. This is the first time we've used it. And this was, as we met beforehand, this was my concern about residents not being aware of this and having some pushback. And obviously this is exactly what we're getting. So,
Yeah.
but if they just let the process finish after it's done, and then ask question, is it chip seal coming off once it's fog sealed? We were able to, but the amount of money that was going to allocate it for District 1 was $549,000 in the ARPA funding 4-year district. We would have taken us to 2027 to do portions of Cars Trail paving, and nothing else in District 1 would have got done. By taking that same money and turning it around to chip sealing, we're able to do 12 roads in District 1. Some of them that weren't even on the radar to be done for, 7 to 8 years.
I feel like Cars Trail is probably a really bad example
Oh,
because
it's the worst one.
because if we left the road alone, people's cars would have been fine. It's the same topography on the road for the most part,
Yeah.
with a rough finish and oil on
Yeah,
everywhere.
one of the problems, we were going to do a cold in place recycling there, but we did test holes, the manufacturer. They couldn't, because underneath the asphalt, within 2 inches is rock and ledge all through that road. So that's why they couldn't do that process. Even reclaiming it wouldn't do it. We would have to do an overlay on the top without doing any milling, which wouldn't be the best idea. So you're putting a asphalt money on a bad base, and that would have taken us multiple years to get all of Cars Trail done and still not be the best product for that. Yes, if I had to look at it again, I would not do Cars Trail the way it's at.
Mhm.
Everybody else, I haven't had those kind of complaints about what the finished product looks like.
I mean,
And I wish we could just get Cars Trail finished so that it's done and people can see it in its completion, and then complain. If they have a complaint, then I think it's valid at that point. If we milled a road to get paving and people complain about, well, it's milled, it's not done yet. Well, no, it's not done yet. It has to be paved. Same thing with the chip seal. It's not done until we get the fog seal done.
We need to absolutely evaluate our invoice with this company because of the way that was done. And I also on the town side, I think we need to go back out there and take a second look at that road and fill in whatever needs to be filled in because there are dents all over it. It is,
We can
there are
definitely-
areas that
we
we
can
can
definitely
improve
do
on
that.
that. That needs to happen.
Okay.
I gotta be completely honest with you, I'm not inclined to want to continue chip sealing in District 1 after this at all. Like, I don't want to do the remaining roads. I would rather say, let's work on asphalt through the next few years and pave what we can,
Okay.
because this hasn't come out the way it was supposed to.
That's why we had a discussion beforehand. So, okay.
Councilman Capaldi.
So if it was finished, like you said, it's not finished right now. If that was finished, would there be no divots, holes, everything that John is saying is still there?
No, chip seal does not cover roads like asphalt where you have a smooth finish.
So you're still going to have
You still have
these.
the undulations that.
So why are we doing this?
It's pavement preservation. It allows us to be able to save the pavement for future asphalt work later on. So there's not going to get deteriorated, to be total reclamation on all the roads. We're preserving the roads that wouldn't have been done so that we can save time until get asphalt done.
So after this is done, you're going to need to asphalt it later.
In years to
So
come.
is this like putting a Band-Aid on something and spending more money than we need to spend?
To be honest, it's not about not spending. It's whether or not we would have roads that would be unpassable and not have the money to do them all. Is trying to put preservation is trying to save the roads for that 5 to 7 year period so that we can put into a study money for actual asphalt work. Otherwise, it all fall apart at the same time. Like if you've seen Sisson Road, that road was falling apart and rutted that we had to do a total reclamation and cost, $300,000 for that one road.
Kev, has there been feedback from Pig Lane and Casey Lane?
Not aware. Everyone, only feedback we've heard is that it looks beautiful.
No, nothing positive.
It's the ones with the finished product.
And
Those were done this year?
Yeah.
in that
they're done.
defense, does anyone reach out?
Those are
to
the
us
first
on good
3.
things?
True. Give me that.
Councilmember Shockley.
So is it possible that some roads just aren't appropriate for this type of?
Absolutely.
Because it sounds like, so A, the thing with the oil sounds like an outlier. There's something wrong with the truck or they did
It
something
was.
wrong. But we had a caller from Weaver Hill Road too. So it sounds like there's another road where he didn't feel that the, things like street sweepers and street blowers, I don't know that there's much we can do there, but are there issues on that road as well?
It hasn't been. I mean, we've had a couple of people, Mr. Heavey in particular, that's called with complaints, but for the most part, no, not on Weaver Hill.
I mean, I think our end goal, your end goal and the council's end goal is that if we're going to be putting money into roads, then at least the people who live on those roads are satisfied with what we've done.
Correct.
Like whether it's a brand new asphalt road or it's just better than it was. But I do feel like over my years on council, Pig Hill Road stands out as a road I've heard a lot about. So I could just drive there myself. I don't know that I will. So I would like to maybe get some pictures if we could of kind of how that looks. Because this might be a totally appropriate way to do some roads. And I don't know if there's a way of differentiating based on like the level of degradation possibly that we
exactly what it
just
is.
can't use this process on
Correct.
some roads.
When you've got rutting that's happening, the roads actually falling apart with the base. Those are not roads that we would do. We have other roads in District 1 that obviously just need to be redone. Richardson Road is another one that we can't use this process out because it's too far going.
Yeah. The rest,
Sisson Road was something that we already paved in 2023. That was too far going to do anything else but reclamation.
another question I have just specific to Cars Trail, like I see putting off the program in total until after the winter. My concern is leaving the road like it is if we can't do the fog seal.
Yeah.
I also don't want to do a seal on a road that's not going to work because of the weather. So I think we're going to need some feedback from our vendor. What is the best way to handle this particular road right now? Because it seems as if whatever we do with the rest of the program is kind of up to us. But this road needs something
Yeah,
done to it.
I agree. And if it was up to the contractor, he'd say, let's go and finish it tomorrow. I've already been on the phone with him today. He still wants to go, but I said, we've had
Why don't-
discussion by the council.
Why don't we have a meeting, you and I, Councilman Pasqua, and the contractor?
Sure.
And then decide on a way forward.
I'm fine with that.
And again, I would say, any of you, please, the first 3 roads that we did was Chaplin and Casey and Pig Hill. They're right there off of Maple Valley. And those roads are not a peep from anybody being unsatisfied, and the roads look like they're new roads.
Director McGee, do we need to do anything at the moment for Cause Trail? Is it still wet? Do we?
Oh, no.
We don't need to throw sand down on it or
No,
anything?
It was dry as of Sunday.
So, okay.
So the contractors being amenable, they admit they
They,
screwed
they,
up. Okay.
they totally agree that they messed up.
Okay, so I just want to make sure they're not gonna try to double charge us or, go over and above.
Not at all.
If I may, all contractors are amenable until they're back charged. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll see.
All right, anything else on the paving update? Thank you for this. I think it's pretty incredible how many roads we've paved and yeah, sure.
Not sure if this falls on the paving. I think it does. There's a road in my district where in the road, they have been emailing us about catch basins sinking on Shady Valley Road.
It's on the schedule. They call us and we've got it marked it today for dig safe, and they're scheduled to be done.
Okay, scheduled to be
Yeah,
done. Do we have a timeline on that?
There's 10 of them before. We got 10 catch
Can you-
basins that we're
can you
rebuilding.
just, Send in the timeline on the side.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
fine.
it's all
Yeah.
weather
Yeah, yeah.
related, but yes.
Okay,
It'll
very
be
good.
done this
Thank you.
season. Yeah.
All right, why don't you stay there for your resolutions? Item. So we'll do a 2024-74 first, purchase of a McConnell 48-inch flail mower with boom for the Department of Public Works, pages 30 to 38 in our packet. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Make the motion.
Motion
Second.
by Vice President Blank, second by Councilor Pasqua. Director McGee.
So just so the council knows, so these 2 items are going to be coming out of impact fees. So the tractor is 86,000, the mower is 62,000, for a total of 148. And currently in the impact fee account, for roads and bridges is 283,000. So there's enough money in there to cover it.
Thank you.
As you can see in the handout that I just provided, current 1999 New Holland tractor, brush tractor, 25 years old. And the company we've had down for the last 3 years for 2 to 3 months in the summertime, getting major repairs done. It's now still there been there since April, and they want $18,000 to fix it. And I could not justify spending an additional $18,000 on this.
He was just talking to me the other day about how there used to be brush cutting out in certain parts of the West
We're
End.
trying to do things by hand yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. So on a 1-by-1 basis, they're trying to get them done. So this quote, I denied it. They're putting the machine back, and we're gonna get it back here. Again, I couldn't just say we're gonna invest this much money into a 25-year-old machine. We went out to Sourcewell bidding for all of the tractor and mower and boom. I separated the mower and boom from the tractor, getting separate bids. I was able to save $20,000 from the other bids that came through with the tractor and mower all as one compact unit. And the mower vendor is going to install it on the tractor. So we approve the tractor, they'll deliver the tractor to the company, and they'll put it on for us. And we'll have it. These are in stock items that we'll actually have within 30 days. So I can ask. And it's coming out of impact fees.
Any questions? Councilman Pasqua?
So, I mean, in the world of diesel power, equipment, 25 years old isn't really that old. I mean, there's plenty of machines out there. I mean, I'm sure I'm not trying to justify keeping it.
Yep.
But does it have a value trading it in or selling it or anything?
Well, we will sell it in an auction. And we'll
Yeah.
have money to back charge, but it's not, again, it's starting, it's rusting, it's falling apart. That's why it's one of the parts that they had to get this time here, out of the 18,000, they had to go to Canada to have it manufactured because they don't make the parts anymore. And we got it back here and that still wasn't all those problems. That's why the bill's up to $18,000 to get it fixed.
And do we keep it outside?
Well, yes, unless you want to give me a garage. I don't have one.
Right, yeah, because I mean, some of these,
All of our-
contractor was buying something like this, they may take a 20-year loan on it. So I mean, 25 years old. Okay. I mean, I wish we could, is there a way we can get a cover for this, make it last? I mean,
Well, 25 for a municipal piece of equipment is more than what we normally get.
there-
And again, you get all different people trying to drive it. The contractor we're using, they have one operator doing it. It'd be one thing, but this is not the case here.
And we can look into getting some type of building, makeshift building to cover some of the equipment, because
Yeah.
a lot of the equipment is rusty, right? And
Right.
because everything's outside all the year. So, obviously a really traditional building probably is not on the radar, but something, maybe
Small
some,
steel building or
exactly,
something,
just to cover the new equipment so it lasts a little bit longer.
Right.
Yeah, we can look into that.
Totally agree.
I'd be happy to entertain that.
Any further discussion on this resolution? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yep.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
And resolution 2024-75, purchase of a John Deere tractor for the Department of Public Works. This is page 39 to 51 in your packet. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Make the motion.
Motion by Vice President LeBlanc,
Second.
second by Councilman Pasqua. Director McGee.
Again, this is the piece that runs the entire boom. This is the boom and the mower will be attached to this tractor. We are getting away from New Holland because of the service problems we've had with this. The only service area is in Connecticut. By getting the John Deere tractor, something that the state departments are using, and that there's many companies here that within 20-mile radius that will service it.
Discussion from the council? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Have a good day.
Bob? Want to come on up?
Good evening. So just the update on the status of the audit. As you know, we have a meeting tomorrow with the Auditor General's office to discuss the deficit, where we stand, as a town, overall school in town. So last week, both the school department and the town sent the Auditor General profit and loss statements for fiscal 23 and 24. I assume he's putting together some analysis that we're going to look at the trends, the deficits of the school over the past several years, the funding which the town's provided. And then relative to the audit, we did speak to the auditors. They're still on schedule to pick up the audit again on October 22nd. And get us the draft by October 31st, at which point I'll be reviewing it, school will be reviewing it, we'll be providing it to Department of Revenue so that we can do the transparency information, the MTP that goes into the audit, get that reconciliation. And then once that's all finalized, we'll get a final report to the council. My understanding, you don't want to see a draft.
So the thought is this time, instead of having CLA present the draft, we're just going to have them present the final document. So there's no disparity like last time.
Discussion from the council. Vice President LeBlanc.
I fully support that. I think the draft to the issue statements changed by millions of dollars. And I think nearly almost every single page of at least the basic financials changed. So My preference at least would be wait until we have a final set of statements for the CLA to present.
Councilman Pasqua?
I totally agree with that. People hear that draft and, they take it as that's what it is. And decisions are made and the public opinion is formed on information that's obviously wildly inaccurate.
Anything else for the finance director? All right, thank you. Solicitors report?
So the only thing I have to talk about here is the work that's been going on Johnson's Pond. I have some artwork to show you since there have been some developments. The work is complete as to the grouting of stones and capstones and the rest of it. But what we're evaluating now, if Cody could put up the first picture. Pictures aren't great, admittedly, but as you can see,
Cody, is that shared for the public?
I'll do my best Gene Rayburn match game impression with the long microphone. Anyway, on the left here, this is where the man-made splash pad, the masonry splash pad ends, and there's a drop right down to bedrock. These stones that you see here are bedrock stones, okay? This particular stone at the toe is protruding a bit. It has been in that condition for quite some time. It has not moved. But in looking at this, the conventional wisdom of the engineers and the contractor is to drill the actual bedrock and put in rebar pegs, and then to pour a cap of sorts along here to this point. And that would guarantee that it's stabilized. That particular cap is under design at the moment. You can see, obviously, the magic jumping stone under the pier. Everything behind that is pretty impacted. Cody, if you could go to some of the other pictures, I have a close-up of that void toward the end. You can see what it looks like. It's the capstone was not disturbed at all. The stones on the side of it were not disturbed. There was no evidence of hydrostatic pressure behind that would have blown that stone out. You see those smaller stones, those don't move. They're all packed in there. But the real emphasis now is in getting DEM to approve this latest thing that they want to do with the toe. That will hold the toe in place permanently and become incorporated into a much larger rehabilitation of the structure somewhere down the road. But this, according to the engineers, put the dam in the condition that it needs to be in to send water over the spillway again. So right now we're still minus 30 pursuant to the order that DEM has imposed, but it's about a week or so post pour to get the repairs to cure, and then we can put it under hydrostatic pressure. So we really want DEM to move pretty quickly to give us some approval on what needs to be done at the toe, and then we'll come to the council with the cost on that. So far, the work that we've done so far is in the $50,000 ballpark. So it's been pretty cost effective. The dive was completed. I should have a preliminary report within the next week. So we'll be hitting those reporting deadlines with DEM and the court order. We're on schedule to be ready for the winter time here. So, but I think for other reasons, I think it's probably wise, assuming that it's within reason cost-wise, to go ahead with that mason repair at the toe. It's not so much a repair as it is a shoring of that area. There was a chinking of some of the stones at the toe that wasn't done particularly well because the stones were not like stones and didn't fit very well with the masonry that was there, and they popped out. That chinking was done by DPW before. We don't know what was done when DPW wasn't involved, but you know, it's just, as you can tell from that lower piece, there's a lot of little stones, and they just, you know, if you put a flowable material in there that's permanent, it'll just lock everything into place. So that's what they're looking at. Any questions?
Councilmember Shockley.
I just want to make sure I understand what's been done in the timeline. So it sounds like with the grouting, what they've done what was expected of them by what our original ask was. And in about a week, it should cure, and then we can get permission to put it under pressure and see if we can put water over the spillway. Their thought is before we do that, we get permission from DEM to do this additional shoring up of the dam.
Yep.
To overall strengthen the dam. And probably because we're already down to this water level and we're taking care of it, doing it all at once. I can definitely see that. Do we have any idea, and I appreciate the cost to date, what, if we get permission from DEM, the cost and timeline is? It sounds like either way, we expect to be ready for winter, but I just wasn't sure.
The engineers had a meeting among themselves this morning at 8:30. They were supposed to report out to me at noon. I did not hear from them. Does not mean something that's isn't in my inbox, since I had other things to do today. I had given them instructions. I'd been in touch with the construction crews, with the construction crew and the engineers every day. When the engineers took me down there, I think it was October 2nd or 1st, before the repairs, according to the repair application, were performed. We had a very lengthy discussion in collaboration with the contractor, who has a lot of experience in this, and that's when that tow solution came up. And now they're at a point they have to design it, right? So they have to do shop drawings. We have to submit it to DEM. Of course, I've got my contacts at DEM to say, okay, gang, look, we don't have 2 months, okay? Because you get to a certain point, you lose the construction season. And we want to be able to put it under pressure before there's a freeze, so that we can then drop the water level appropriately for management of the pond, to kill the weeds, make sure we don't pull anybody's docks out when there's a freeze, that kind of thing. So we're working pretty quickly, not to mention the fact this contractor, this construction company, they have a window of time where they can service us between now and November 1st. So we really want to jump on that, get it done. We're very confident we can do it. But we'll provide you with a complete cost breakdown, as well as a report relative to the repairs. That will come from the contractor, and it will come from GZA. So we'll get that to you when they compile it. At the moment, I think it's just more important that they get the work done according to the application.
Yeah, and just as a aside, I think so far just tonight, we've probably spent the residual ARPA funds 4 times over. Just throwing this out there as one more item. It is a water-based problem. We own a dam. And I think fixing it to the highest extent we can now under this council before we fill it up with water is the best way to go.
And I would like to remind the council, as we've discussed before, we have, and it's in your ARPA funding list here, we have dam number 176 that we own and inherited a rather dire situation with. It is upstream from this dam. I gave instructions to the engineers that their job was to make sure that when whatever, and I say whatever because that's what lay people do, whatever repair is effectuated here, that if something should happen upstream, in a severe weather event, they've got to be able to send 6-7 feet of water over that spillway. And that's what they're going to guarantee for us. So that's, this council did its job, frankly, in getting this thing safe. So it's a wise move. It's a wise investment.
Any other discussion on this list? Councilman Pasqua.
So, once we shore up the bottom, there's no other work to be done at this point. They've done everything they need to do. It's raise the water level, put on hydrostatic pressure, test it, drop it, move on to next year for a full pond.
I'll say yes, but Murphy's Law being what it is, we seem to have an abundance of that on Johnson's Pond. We don't have the dive report back yet. I neglected to say the trash rack was cleaned at the gatehouse, uneventful, except that there was quite a bit of trash, and that will be a regular occurrence that needs to be done. A preliminary inspection was done of the 3 gates to ensure that we could guarantee our ability to control the water level fully functioning. Interestingly enough, this should be noted that the construction firm that we're using, they're a specialty contractor, and as things happen in construction, companies consolidate. And one of the companies that was consolidated was actually a company that rebuilt the wooden gates the last time that they were done in the late teens for Quidnick. So they have some pretty unique knowledge about those gates and how they work and the health of it. So I want to let everybody know we're not dealing with old rickety wood gates in these lower level outlets. They're actually, I would say, relatively new. The goal is to replace them, obviously, at some point, and to mechanize them. But I was surprised by that. They knew just what to do to clear a blockage. So those gates are fully functioning, which in the health of it seemed pretty good at that time. So, but we're on track.
Anything else? All right, thank you. I don't see Mr. Levesque here. So
He had a family emergency, but he gave me the update. I can read it.
I was just gonna go to
Okay.
Jerry, considering he's been waiting patiently.
Sure.
So I'll, if you want to come up and give your report, and then we can skip on down to the resolutions.
So as Jerry comes up, I just want to provide some details that she's going to provide regarding the two CDBG projects. So these yes, exactly. So these projects were advertised for public hearing and comment tonight. We asked the public to come and make any comments they may have. So the 2 projects that we selected this year is $520,000 for Quidnick pavement program, the same one that we put in for last year. And the second one is for Julie Letty and the Coventry Housing Authority to revamp 75 or 80 bathrooms at the Naughty Oak kitchens for $850,000. So this is the opportunity for the public to have their say in whether they want these 2 projects to move forward. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Thank you. Is this on?
I think so. Is it flipped up?
It's on.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I don't do microphones well. It's one of those phobias I've had over the last 45 years. We've got 2 projects in for community development block grants for this year. The first one is Julie Letty's for rehabbing 75 kitchens at Naughty Oak. This application will go in, be approved, and move forward as a rolling out. The state has opened up the rehab funding, so we can apply now with your approval and get that process going for Julie. The second application is for road work
With my buddy back there.
and we're looking at submitting that once the state opens up the annual funding period. They have not opened it up yet, but we are like ahead of the game. We did our public hearing, we did our.
I never hear ahead of the game working in this town.
I'm trying. I'm trying. So hopefully as soon as they say, hey, you can apply, we can just dump this right and, it'll be a part of the annual one. So it's pretty straightforward. We got a lot of roads to fix. We have a lot of kitchens to rehab, and, we also need to get some funding in for the regular housing. Low income, and I'm slowly, ever so slowly getting that program up and running. We've had 15 applications from residents. I have told Doug, I'm not sure if I shared this with you, we need a handyman team. Because some of the residents just need someone to come over and hammer a nail into a shutter, that type of thing. But others are dealing with roofs, driveways, all kinds of things. So a lot of mold. We've had the 15 applications. 5 have completed the whole process. 3 of those 5 are for oil tanks. Mobile home parks in town have decided to replace slabs and tell them all to get new oil tanks. To the tune of about $3,000 a piece. So we'll be doing 3 of them in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
At this time, I will ask for a motion to add public comment for these 2 resolutions.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Motion by Vice President Blank, second by Councilman Capaldi. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc,
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
So at this time, I'll open it up. Anyone in chambers, public comment on the contents of resolution 2024-78 or 2024-79, come to the podium. Any members of the public on Zoom, public comment on those 2 resolutions 78 and 79? Raise your hand. Going once. Going twice. Public comment is now closed. So with that, I will move to resolution 78, CDBG application for Quidnick paving for $520,741.73. This is pages 62 to 63 in your packet. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank, second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. Oh, Vice President Blank.
Just for those listening, this resolution does include 14 streets in this area of town for the repaving. Just wanted to call that out. And I think the resolution even says that they have not been touched in over 20 years.
Thank you. And thanks for getting us ahead of the game. Appreciate it. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc,
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
And for resolution 2024-79, CDBG application for Naughty Oak Village for $850,000. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
Make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank,
Second.
second by Councilmember Shockley. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc,
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Thank you. Following the bouncing ball, back up to the town engineer report. I had asked for this to be on the agenda. This is the project where we're repairing the retention pond in the back of the Minglewood Drive development. Those who have been habitually affected by its inability to hold water are thrilled. I've gotten really, really nice text messages. They said the contractors have been so nice. They've done a great job. They've been respectful. However, I'm getting emails and seeing things on social media of people who don't even live along this project complaining, and they don't know what it's about. So I just had asked that we have a public discussion item on this to remind folks what this is and how it, and people are saying it's our tax dollars. And I just want to clarify that how that's getting spent and why.
So the project was funded 130,500 was the total of the project. It's from 23 CIP, 25 CIP, and balance of capital revolving fund. So the issue was stormwater runoff from an adjacent watershed coupled with some overflow from Green Farm Estates was causing the drainage issue. So we went out to bid, Recedi Construction won the bid. Joe obtained easements from 51 and 53 Old North Road. The plan was to have this project completed in around 60 days. Work is going nice and smoothly. They're approximately 80% done at this point. They got about 2.5 weeks left. They've installed a catch basin, a drain line, a tie-in drainage system, and repairs to a retaining wall and restored a driveway. So it's on time, it's on budget. It's been so far so good, no issues, and that's the summary of the report.
Thank you. All right. So I believe that concludes all reports. So we'll now jump to Resolution 2024-76 to increase the sewer use charge. This is pages 52 to 55 in our packets. And we had addendum documents shared via email this afternoon. So to get the discussion rolling, do I hear a motion to approve the resolution?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank.
Second.
Second by Councilman Pasqua. So I don't know if you want to tee this up as chair of the sewer subcommittee from where it came from.
Sure. The sewer rate has not been adjusted, I think, since 2020. Monique can correct me if I'm wrong there. And we've had various discussions about the need to supplement our sewer fund. And through presentations by Laura Marcolini's company, who is on the line and I think is going to speak to this, they have recommended rate increases. I believe the rate increase was 30% this year, 30% next year, 30% the following year. The sewer subcommittee did discuss the 30% rate increase, thought that it was a little excessive, did make a resolution did approve, I think it was 5-0, to increase the sewer rate by 15% for this upcoming year to supplement our sewer fund. We did ask for some graphs and some information be shared. So I think Ms. Marcolini will be discussing that tonight. I don't know if you want to ask her to come in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sure can.
Okay. Thank you for having me. And so we did prepare in the facility plan report 2 scenarios. The first scenario was involved no sewer extensions and no additional users on the existing infrastructure. And that scenario had a recommendation to increase the rates by 10% for the next 3 years and 5% year over year thereafter, so that the sewer fund balance could be brought to about a $4 million value, which would cover about a year's operating costs, which is the typical industry practice. And so the year at which time scenario 1 would reach that healthy balance is projected to be about year 2032. For scenario 2, which is the recommended scenario from the facility plan, with the 30% increases in the rates for the next 3 years and then 5% year over year thereafter, the year at which the fund comes into a healthy situation is 2029. And that involves certain sewer extension projects in that, up through and including the year 2029 and also all the way through 2032. So we looked at 2 alternatives in the cost modeling to that scenario 2. And one alternative was to go with 10% rate increases for the next 3 years. That projection in the cost model did not show the fund coming into that healthy condition within the projection out to the year 2032. However, the 15% rate increase for the next 3 years with the 5% year after year thereafter the fund balance would come into a healthy condition on or about the year 2032.
Laura, is that 15% model including anticipated expansion or no?
It does. So
Okay.
scenario 2, both those alternatives that we ran is based on all the same exact sewer extension projects that were included in the facility plan report. So the only thing that was changed is the percentage of the rate increase for the next 3 years for scenario 2.
Okay, thank you. You can keep
Okay.
going.
And so in the memo that we drafted and sent to the town manager's office, you may have a copy of that. The graphs are there, and you can see the anticipated annual sewer bill that the average household would pay. And so I think the anchor year is 2023. So maybe 2024, you can see between scenarios 1 and 2 for each of those alternatives, you can see the anticipated dollar value for the annual bill.
Vice President LeBlanc.
For anybody following in council, if you go to page 56 out of 67, I think it's quite important. This page shows about 23 towns in the state of Rhode Island who do have residential sewer charges. With the 15% rate increase, we actually fall just shy of right in the middle of all of the towns in Rhode Island. So we're not the highest, we're not the lowest, we're kind of right in the middle. That's with the 15% increase. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Discussion from the council. Councilor Shockley.
Just make sure this is an annual sewer charge, right? Okay, I just wanted to make sure I was correct there.
Annual rate increase. We should clarify because the next resolution is minimum sewer use fee.
I might need clarification there. So what is, go ahead, Laura.
I'm sorry, the graphs that you see with the columns, the bar chart, those are the average annual bill, sewer bill that, an average household would see in the town of Coventry.
Is that in the report we got sent separately, or?
Yes. The percentage that we're discussing is a percentage on the current rate, the current sewer rate. And the sewer rate is billed at, a certain dollar value per 100 cubic feet of water consumption, billed at 80% of the meter data.
Any other questions? Councilor Shockley?
No, thank you.
Any other discussion on the 15% increase? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua.
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi.
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley.
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima.
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. Motion passes.
And at this time, I'll seek a motion to approve Resolution 2024-77 to implement a minimum annual sewer use fee.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank.
Second.
Second by Councilman Pasqua. Discussion. So just to clarify, and Vice President Blank can correct me if I'm wrong, but this adding a minimum annual sewer use fee, it puts us in line with most communities that have sewer infrastructure. And this is being assessed to, well, not assessed, but billed to anyone who uses the sewer, or it's just along the line, if I remember correctly.
Uses
the sewer. Right. Any questions on this?
I just want to add that West Warwick does this as well. They have a minimum. We are being consistent with West Warwick.
If there's no further discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Moving to public comment for undocketed items. Are there any members of the public who have a public comment on an item that was not on our docket this evening? Please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record. And on Zoom, please raise your hand and state your name and address for the record if you have public comment for an undocketed item. Going once, twice, 3 times. Public comment is now closed. And for introduction of new matters before the council, we have one this evening, approval of Narragansett Electric to be granted permission to locate and maintain poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustain and protecting fixtures to be owned and used in common by you petitioner along and across the following public ways: Whaley Hollow Road, installing P2-51 to serve customer. This is pages 66 to 67 in our packets. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank,
Second.
second by Councilman Pasqua. Any discussion? Manager Pillow, any comments?
The director has no concerns with this.
Any council discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
And at this time, I will seek a motion to go into executive session for the following: pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46-5A2, litigation matters re Social Holdings LLC v. Town of Coventry, and litigation matters re Nicholas E. Cambio, trustee and others versus Commerce Park Realty LLC. Discussion of prospective litigation to be initiated against the town, and pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46-5A1 for job performance re Town Manager. Do I hear a motion?
Make the motion. I'll
Motion by
second.
Vice President Blank, second by Councilmember Shockley. Any discussion? Hearing none, clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua,
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi,
Yes.
Councilmember Shockley,
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc.
Yes.
President Lima,
Yes,
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
thank you.
Are we missing?
That's okay. At this time, I will seek a motion to come out of executive session.
Make the motion.
Motion by
Second.
Vice President Blank, second by Councilmember Shockley. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilman Pasqua?
Yes.
Councilman Capaldi? Councilman Chockley?
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
For the affirmative.
Oh, sorry, 4 in the affirmative.
At this time, I'll take a motion to seal the minutes of executive session.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Vice President Blank.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Shockley. Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Pasqua?
Yes.
Councilmember Capaldi?
Say yes.
Councilmember Shockley?
Yes.
Vice President LeBlanc?
Yes.
President Lima?
Yes.
5 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative, motion passes.
Members of the public, the council met in executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46-5A2 and Rhode Island General Law, Section 42-46-5A1 for the items listed on our agenda. A discussion was had, no votes were taken. And at this time, I will take a motion to adjourn at 8:37 PM.
Make the motion.
Motion by
Second.
Vice President Blank, second by Councilman Capaldi. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Chair votes aye.